Yo, 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 what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. And today I'm coming at you guys with an update for Tenyis. Now, it's been like, I think, once or twice that this deck has made an appearance on this channel. And honestly, I really like the deck, the way that the deck plays, and it's been very difficult to figure it out and kind of just get a consistent way to play Pure and make Pure viable without having to splash or integrate other things. Because I saw so much synergy with it with other archetypes, but I was like, dang man, what can Pure Tenyi do? So we definitely wanted to exploit that. And on top of that, I've been getting so many requests for Tenyis, and some of them had kind of started to just like pile up, you know. So just like it's really gonna help with the workload to just kind of get it just out that way. And plus, it's like an easy request to do because I already had the Tenyi card, so this was like, you know, nothing. There's certain hand traps that I was playing in the main deck that I sold. Well, they weren't in my main deck. I was kind of alternating them between other decks, like my one set of Ash Blossoms, the one set of Nibiru's, you know, my Drolls, my Effect Veilers, all those are gone. You know, I sold all those, but I have budget versions of those hand traps that don't really do the same thing, but feel kind of similar niches in a way, just for interruptions. But we're gonna get into the deck list, you guys. This is my way of playing Pure Tenyi for the time being, basically adapting to this format. And when you guys get to play this deck, just give it a little bit of time. It will take a little bit of patience, but this deck will reward you past turn 1. Turn 2 it gets really, really good. So yeah, like setting up those turn 1 oppo boards is just really important. So let's go ahead and get started with the main deck. Oh yeah, one last thing, my bad. I just want to let you guys know that I do have a PayPal and a Patreon, and I would really appreciate that you guys would donate to that. It support your boy, help me eat, help me get these bills paid for my family, take care of this, to take care of you guys' specific requests, get better stuff for my channel, get more decks, get more new cards, replace the staples, get some of the stuff so I don't have to proxy everything, get basically a computer and also a camera so that I can live stream from home and not without relying on other people. You know, all those things would really help. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. So I'm going to start with my hand traps first, because the hand traps were basically what would have been another engine, like basically a hybrid variant. You know, like the space in the main deck that the hand trap's taking is what would have been another engine, but I decided the hand traps were the way to go, because this deck is really consistent with the draw power and in interactions on your opponent's turn, enabling you to just kind of plus and generate 1 to 2 kind of like +1s and +2s on your opponent's turn in the terms of card advantage, and just kind of manipulating your resources off of one card and stretching it miles, you know, having one card last more than one turn. It's just really, really insane, the longevity. So hand traps just really help you to simplify the game state, because under a simplified game state, this deck can really thrive with just a Berserker and the field spell up, because that can get you really far in a lot of different matchups. So anyways, continue. We're playing 3 Typhoon. I think Typhoon is a really insane budget hand trap this format. I think it's one of the best hand traps this format. It doesn't really have an identifiable bad matchup right now, because the decks that it would have been bad against are non-existent. This is good against Orcus because you can target Babel and you can force the Orcus cards to basically chain their effects. You can force interruptions that way, so it's good going second. This can pop Servant, it can pop Magister, Reflection. This can hit Abductor. You know, since Electromite's not there, you kind of just, it helps to simplify game states even against Pendulums. It's really good against Floodgate-ish decks. It's good against Salads. It's really good against Spirals because you can hit their Equip spell, you can hit the Big Red, you can hit their Field spell. Just so many interactions where this card is really insane. It's good, man. Honestly, Typhoon is one of the best cards this format, period. It's good against Altergeist as well. And one of the best cards to pair this with, which I think is a high-key sleeper for this format, I've been playing Tiamat for a minute now. Like, since, like, probably, I want to say December, I started playing this, like, a lot, heavily, like, very, 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 repetitiously in a lot of my decks, kind of just seeing if he can fit. And I want to make him into a staple for all of my decks, because this card just really good this format, especially because it's still undefined. Just having this generic board wipe and interruption as a quick effect is really insane. Just the way that you can set up and interact with this, you can force it to be live. And that's why I wanted to explain the interaction of this with Typhoon, because you can even, for example, like, let's say Geist, they normal Marionetter, set 3 pass, they have a Secret Village of Spellcasters, or, you know, a Necro Valley, they play the field spells now. So if you open Tiamaitan and Typhoon, you could just activate Typhoon during their in phase, targeting, or even during their main phase if you want, before they end their main phase, you can activate it just whenever you want, targeting the Secret Village, and then you can chain Tiamaitan, and basically you just activate the Typhoon in the column where either the back row or the Marionetter is, and then you could just chain him. So, for example, you'll play it where Marionetter in the back row is, and then that'll put 3 cards in the same column, and you can just play Tiamaitan like that. So there's cool interactions where you can actually use this as a 2-card combo to interrupt so many different boards depending on the matchup. Especially against Pendulum, it's really easy because they have so many cards in the same column. It's ridiculous. They have extra monster zone, main monster zone. They have Pendulum zones, monsters there. Their cards are everywhere. So Typhoon and TENYI is a really good 2-card combination against Pendulums too, to just really wreck them. And whatever zone he's in, the unused zones that are in his basically his column, they cannot be used while he's face up on the field. So it's just a really insane hand trap. And it puts a body on field. You do have to link it off for Land Fornicus sometimes, Land Fornicus, just so that you can have no effect monsters again. But the card's just really insane added value to the field spell, because the field spell drawing this is just nutty. And then we have 3 copies of Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell I still think is really good this format. I think Ash and Bell probably the best hand traps because they cover even Rogue matchups, which Rogue can really thrive right now. So it's just, again, undefined. Just because Spiral's good and just because, you know, we see Salamangreat still doing things and Orc is still kind of just like in a glimmer in the past right now. We don't know what really is going on. Like, people are still experimenting and figuring out what they want to play. So I think Ash and Bell are like the safest hand traps. But these are just kind of like my options because I don't have like the Ashes, I don't have the Beers, I don't have Drolls, I don't have Veilers. I also like Ghost Ogres. Ghost Ogre, similar to TENYI and Typhoon, it just gets rid of problems too. So I like that my hand traps are little disruptions. Like, they interrupt combo plays, they can interrupt combo sequences, and they can clear threats and remove the problem from the board. Like, it's just really insane. Ghost Spell is really good against Spirals. Ogre's okay against Spirals. It depends on the composition of their hand, because normally they can easily play through it. I think Typhoon's really good against them. I think TENYI's insane against Spirals. If you hit it correctly, it's like game over. Like, this card is just really crazy. Like, for example, if you were able to Typhoon the Spiral Resort in the first place, and then had a second Typhoon and you paired that with the TENYI, you could just wreck their board in the middle of them playing before they even get to finish it off. And that, like, imagine that paired with like cards like Nibiru. If I had Nibiru, it just would be insane. So the hand traps can be really disgusting. If I had the correct lineup, I'd have like TENYI, Typhoon, Nibiru, Impermanence, Ash, Ogre, Gammas, just the most nasty, disrespectful hand traps. But I like this lineup for right now. And I really don't like hand traps personally. If you guys see a lot of my deck profiles, like, honestly, every deck you've seen me top with for the past, I want to say, year and almost 2 years hasn't really had any hand traps at all. I've slided Droll like occasionally, but I play them in this TENYI deck because it's really imperative. There is other cards that you could supplement it for, but ultimately it was this or like a hybrid engine, or just cut it completely. But the deck needs some other form of interaction outside of what the TENYI cards provide for you, because they really are kind of stale sometimes in certain matchups. Like, they can be very stale, not useful, and just can't progress your game state. So you just need hand traps sometimes to simplify it. So getting into the TENYI cards, I'm playing 3 Adhar. It's probably my favorite TENYI. It helps. It has longevity. It provides a longer grind game, and also it's a tuner, so it just has interactions for synchro plays. And it's just, all in all, I feel personally it's the best TENYI. Then we play 3 Ashinas. You want to be careful how you play this. Normally you want to resolve it lastly. Like, for its graveyard effect, for example, for you to summon, you have to control no effect monsters. But for its a graveyard effect, it just says you can banish it, basically, if you control a face-up non-effect monster. So certain combo sequences, you can be building your board with this engrave, and then summon Shaman, use Shaman to bring back Mermare, generate tokens, leave 1 token left on the field, basically, and then activate Ashina while you control that token, because that's a non-effect. So you can summon like Appaloosa and whatever you want, and then use Ashina lastly with that token, because that's a face-up non-effect, and then generate the advantage off that. And then you could just summon Adhar, for example, link those off, and use Adhar, get it back, just so you can get free play. So there's certain ways where you can bypass the, or mitigate pretty much the restriction, because it is up for the rest of the turn and not during the turn. So you can summon generics, basically, even under Ashina, so you can still be able to resolve them. Some people think of this card like, oh, if I draw them, I have to pick, basically, to either summon all worms or not activate them, but that's not true. We have 3 copies of Vishuda. Vishuda really helps this deck go in second. Some people play this without even playing the TENYI deck because he's just that good of a card. And then we play 3 copies of Shana or Shatana. The blue spirit is probably, like, I like Ashina, Vishuda, the blue, and like these. If I could just play more of these, I would only play these. These are kind of niche, kind of meh, but the blue spirit is one of my favorite ones because it really helps you to go aggro going second. You just do it in a kind of convoluted way, but basically you have Vishuda to out cards, you have red to protect you, you have Shaman to out cards, and you have blue to out cards, and you also have Berserker to out cards. So when you're going second, you can make cards like Berserker, Draco Master of TENYI. You can use blue, because you could just summon a simple monk, crash it, use blue to resummon the monk, pop a monster without targeting. You can use Vishuda to bounce. You know, this deck can really, it has spot removal for going second. So it's not just like a hardcore going first deck. Sometimes, depending on the matchup, you prefer to go second. Like against Sky Strikers, before Engage got banned, that was a deck I love to go second against a lot of times, because this deck's really good against that deck. But yeah, these are like the bread and butter Tenyis that you want to max out on. But I still play 3 fires. And the reason being is for namesakes. If you don't open any Tenyis, this deck's terrible. Like, if you open only hand traps and no Tenyi cards, it's just terrible. And the Tenyi cards have to be the right ones. So, the right ones are at least one of the Tenyi monsters. Like, if you open one Ashina, that's full combo. Like, full Tenyi combo without any extra extenders. Because for me, full combo is just to go for a Berserker. Like, anything that makes a Berserker and keeps me at 5 cards in hand, that's full combo for Tenyis. Because Tenyi's boss monsters, if you think of it, really are the non-effect monsters. That's why these cards act like Bujin's engraved to protect your non-effect monsters. So, you're trying to establish a big monster like Berserker or any cards like that and protect them that way. Or even establishing Appaloosa. But for me, Ashina in a simplified game state is a 1-card full combo for me, basically. You can call it like a 3.5 or like a 3/4 combo, but it's full for me because of the advantage you get. Because you get Ashina back off of Earth, so Ashina's there in your hand for your next turn. Like, it's literally free. And then, yeah, so again, Fire's there for the namesake. It's really good in certain matchups. Like, people are playing Compulsory Evacuation Device now. People are playing Crackdown. This card negates those cards. It negates Crackdowns. It negates Compulses. It negates Get Out. Get Out's a good card. You know, it negates Lost Win, you know. Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't negate Lost Win, because you can't Lost Win a non-effect anyways. But it just negates targeting effect, so it can still be relevant. It just depends on the matchup and what, you know, deck you're playing. It even negates Soliquitus when they, in the Altergeist matchup. So, you know, it's pretty decent. I don't know what's going on outside. But yeah, it's pretty decent. Like, I like it. Just certain matchups, it's kind of like a card you want to side out, but at the same time, you still need to open a certain amount of Tenyi cards. And by that, I mean, like, at least 1 Tenyi monster and a field spell. Like, if you open at least 1 Tenyi monster and the field spell, you can kind of grind it out a little bit as long as your opponent plays in the correct order. Because if they just go straight to battle phase, that's where you're going to need blue and you're going to need green. So if you open blue, for example, and the field spell, it's a safe play, because then if they just go straight to battle phase to try to get rid of the monk so that you don't get value off the field spell, you have blue to revive the monk and kill another monster, so you can fend off 2 attacks and keep your monk on the field. So they need to commit 3 monsters to get rid of your 1 monk, and that means that, yeah, they have to trigger the field spell. So opening blue and field spell, even under a simplified game state, is very safe. Just for you to grind it out, keep your advantage, protect your castle, you know what I mean? And continue with the Tenyis. We play 2 copies of green, which is Nata. I don't really know how to pronounce the name. Nahata. So green is one of the worst ones. In fact, it is the worst one, and I really don't like its effect. I think that its effect should be replaced by a different effect. So this is really a name. Sometimes it comes up. I mean, Berserker's already gigantic itself, but anything that's bigger than 3,000, you can just shrink it. So 45, I think, is the max cap for this deck. Anything that's over 45, you have to get over it by card effect at that point, I believe. And then an honorary Tenyi card is 1 Mirror. The reason why I'm playing 1 is because I'm not playing Desires in this list, so you don't need more than 1 Mirror. You can play more if you want, because if you don't open, basically if you don't open Mirror and if you don't open Vessel, you essentially have no Mirror. So if you think Mirror is more important for you, then you can just play it. But the other thing with Mirror is it's only going to be as good as your hand is. So you can play a second just to increase the, you know, probability and statistic of drawing it. But the other thing is, again, it's only ever going to be good if your hand's good. If you open 1 Tenyi monster in a Mirror, you can't use it. If you open 2 Tenyi monsters in a Mirror, you can use it. But again, that's like a kind of like a Crusadia algorithm where you need 2 Crusadias to go full combo. So you just got to be careful about that. So yeah, and we're not trying to follow the Crusadia algorithm blindly, even though I felt like this deck does kind of adapt and mirror that algorithm, and it's like just like basically do the math, or think of it like Dark Warriors. 2 warriors on the field makes Isolde. Well, for this deck, full combo essentially is like 2 Tenyis on the field can do a lot of different things. And it depends obviously on the Tenyis, and that varies on the additional results, but you will always end on the board that you're trying to get to with just opening 2 Tenyis. So yeah, and Mirror just lets you make like cards like Appaloosa, you know, Avermax, you know, just insane boards. And then for our spells, we're playing 3 copies of Flawless Perfection of the Tenyis. This name is overdone, but the field spell is actually insane. And if you ever have 1 in Metaverse, it's not once per turn. And back when I used to test this deck against Sky Strikers, you used to be able to resolve multiples where you would just draw 2 off of 1, activate another one, draw 2 again. It's just really insane. Like against certain decks, this card is just like a blowout. It really is. And it's not just the advantage that you're getting off of it. it's how long you get that advantage if this card gets left unchecked. Like, if your opponent does not, you might turn that down a little bit. Like, if your opponent does not get rid of this or remove this off the field, you're just going to continue to just plus on them. And they're doing a simple action. Like, that's a basic action of Yu-Gi-Oh! Special Summoning. That's a mechanic for most decks. Some decks can't even play without it. Like, think of, like, Dangers. You can't play Dangers. Basically, if you're playing Dangers, there's no way that you're not going to trigger my field spell. So I just think it's just insane. This card is one of the best cards in the deck. And another one of the best cards in the deck. Kind of, it mitigates for the convoluted playstyle and the kind of mediocre and lackluster feeling of the end boards, because it's really not that oppressive. It's more like, it's more mid-range combo, mid-rangey, like Salamangreat kind of Sky Sharkery, if you get the gist. But this deck spells and traps definitely make up for the lack of its aggression, and sometimes its recursion is, you know, kind of mad too. But it's, again, you know, a good pilot, I would say this, a competent pilot who knows what he's doing can play this deck and top any event with it. Vessel's another insane card because generically it dumps any worm from your deck to your grave on activation. But if you control a TENYI, you get to dump any worm from your deck to your grave and add a TENYI monster from your deck to your hand. So you normally just, when you open full combo can just be really full combo is this plus any TENYI monster. And any TENYI monster means any TENYI monster. So 2 TENYIs is like kind of full combo to me, like how I think of Ashina. But if you open this in Ashina, it's ridiculously insane. But this plus any TENYI is actually full combo legitimately. But like, it just depends on the composition of your hand again. But this card's really insane. Like, the added value off of this is just residual. So then we have extenders. We just have 2. We have 1 Monster Reborn and then 1 World Legacy Succession. You can bump this up because honestly it's really easy to trigger this card. It's really good in this deck, especially because you have so many ways to get just a Link 1. But you just have, just is a free extender a lot of the times. It's a really good card too. Because you can bring back Synchros, you can bring back Link 3s. It gets anything. So that's it for the spells. Alright, baby, I'm almost done. Now for the traps, we have 3 copies of Fist of the Unrivaled TENYI. So this card, it's not that great because it doesn't remove the threat, but at the same time, it is an Omni Negate, similar to Rage and Infernity Barrier. And also, it's not once per turn, and if it does get popped, it does allow you to generate some sort of advantage. Kingston, be quiet right now. So I really like this card. I played at 3 because really, it's not searchable. So you just kind of either play 3 or you're just, you know, you just play the risk of seeing it when you never really need it at that point. You know, mid to late game, it's not that great, honestly, because if you're going against an established board and you're like top decking this, it's just kind of, you know, but still at the same time, opening it is insane. We have 3 copies of Trap Trick. Trap Tricks is probably just the best trap honorary in this deck because it gets you either Waterfall, which I played 3 of, or the Reckless Greed, which I played 3 of. Or it can also get you to Typhoon. You can banish the Typhoon and play a Typhoon. Please excuse the background. And then also, you know, the one Metaverse. The one Metaverse is, I feel it's better than Terraforming, and even though Terraforming can still be played just to maximize on my ways to see the field spell, I'm very comfortable with my ratios right now. I'm not really hurting for that. A Metaverse is just insane, because if you trigger the field spell and have a Metaverse already face down, you can just flip it, play another field spell, and draw 2 cards again, because the field spell is not hard once per turn. And the purpose of the Trap Trick is really to interact further with these traps so I can plus heavier on my opponent's turn, because what I'm trying to do is just draw hand traps to simplify the game state and also accumulate critical mass advantage, so my hand is so big or I have so much more or able to out-resource my opponent to the point where next turn, even if I can't OTK them, they can just see the writing on the wall that this game's going to keep progressing in my favor. So I just really like these. Just activate this, send 2, draw 3. Activate this, just change, you get a lot of advantage. And then you have the field spell too, so this deck can really thrive off drawing on your opponent's turn. Like, that's really the purpose of it, to be very reactive. So proactive would be like playing a bunch of Floodgates and other cards like that, but like, and Vanity's Fiend. Vanity's Fiend would be very proactive, but I side that. But I like the reactive playstyle of this deck. So now for the extra deck. The boss monster that you're trying to end on most of the time is going to be Berserker. You only play 2. You definitely, the second one comes up. You don't need 3 because you can always resummon it off Shaman. And then extra deck space requires, you know, just other cards. So 2, I think, is the perfect ratio. If you play 1, you're going to hurt for the second one all the time, because it is one of the best cards in the deck, even though it has no effect. But honestly, the best link for starters is Monk, even though he has no effect, because he just allows you to start combos. Basically, just getting a non-effect monster on command just really expeditiously, and, you know, pretty much just with little to no effort at all is what makes this card so good, because then you could just instantly trigger Ashina, Vishuddha. All your TENYIs become live, in hand and in grave, as soon as you get Monk up. So now you have ammunition, and he's like the gun you just loaded up. and we play 3 copies of Shaman because the grind game, man. Like, I know that 2 is the normal ratio for a lot of people, but this could just be another Link. You know, it could be another extra deck monster. I understand that, but because I want to play TENYI a bit longer, and certain duels you can't play it any longer when you just run out of Shamans, run out of Monks, run out of Berserkers, you need the third. Because if it's a simplified game state and you can protect the Shaman, you can generate its advantage by triggering its effect more than once. Because if you just resolve it once and it stays on the field the next turn, then it's just going to get out of control. So I just really like the third Shaman. You guys don't have to, though. And then I play double Links. The Link Spider is somewhere. But I believe I still would probably find space for just another Link Spider and keep the double Link Karibo in there because I still like the double Link Karibo. This card is just really insane. You guys, like, Link Karibo's nutty. And then we play 1 copy of Land Fornicus or Land Fornicus. Land Fornicus is also important because it's a non-effect and it's generic. So if you ever have clumpy effect monsters like TENYI that you just can't get rid of, this gets rid of itself. That's why it's so good in this deck. Then you just link them off for this so that you can start activating TENYI cards again. We play 1 Draco Berserker. Draco Master of the TENYI, I mean. Draco Master is good against certain decks but terrible against others, so he's kind of just that one of that you apply pressure when you need to, but he's there for the options. And then the other Link that I play in this deck that I don't have right now is Appaloosa. It's one of the easiest cards to make. And honestly, if you have 2, you should play 2. And this other is the Cypher Lord Omega that I sold, and then Draco Berserker. And my Boxia I also sold. So I kind of sold a lot of cards this year and last year, and I'm constantly selling cards still, just to make extra money, because, you know, just, you gotta do what you gotta do to pay the bills. Alright, baby, I'm coming. But yeah, that's gonna conclude the deck profile. What I'm gonna do real quick is do a really quick test hand, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just end the deck profile like that for you guys. Alright. Here I come, babe. And I gotta get ready to leave after this too, because me and my girl, we gotta go pick up our daughter and then just dip. And we gotta, what else we have to do? Alright, so I didn't power shuffle, so hopefully I won't regret not power shuffling, but, you know, heart of the cards, baby. Field Spell, Counter Trap, Vishuda, Trap Trick, and TENYI. Yeah, it's a good hand, because we drew a TENYI monster and Field Spell. So we'll just go ahead and special Vishuda. And this deck plays slow, so, you know, it's not going to combo off turn 1. You can lose to Nibiru if you go too far, so it does have certain points where it can get a little out of control, and that's just when you're using cards like Ashina and Mare. But other than that, it's still mid-rangey. No matter what you're doing, no matter what combos, it's always very mid-range. This deck's not very complicated. When I say convoluted, it's just because of it's very intricate sometimes. Like, it's very delicate and fragile, and I don't like that. So we're gonna set, and we'll set the Trap Trick in his column like that, so that we can have the TENYI. And basically, if our opponent plays any card in this column, we can just resolve TENYI right there. And even if it blows up our monk, we can still clear potentially their entire column too. So we'll have that just in case. But anyways, it could be summoned anywhere, honestly. So you have the counter trap, you have the Trap Trick, and the Trap Trick can do one of 2 things. But honestly, what I would do is I would just go for the either the Typhoon for another interruption if it's still not enough, or I would just flat out go for Reckless, so I draw for turn and then activate Reckless and get more advantage that way. And then you're still going to get to draw off the Field Spell if this guy doesn't die, so it's just, you know, it depends. So that's just a quick little test hand. Show you guys the deck. It has to set up, that's why I was saying it rewards you after turn 1. But normally it can protect itself rather effectively, especially if you just open like an Ashina. Like, I'll show you guys also this really quick. The 1-card Ashina combo. So if you just open Ashina by itself, you just special him, link him, make Monk. Use his effect to special any TENYI from the deck. You're going to special Adhara. Then you're going to link Adhara to get added value so that it's a self-contained 1-card combo. You're going to have to burn a second monk. You're going to banish him to add the same Ashina. That's why you're going to get Ashina back, because you're going to send it to grave. Link these 2. And the Shaman, use Shaman, discard Ashina. Special monk. Now Ashina is in the grave, so you get to trigger him next turn. And then you just link these into a Berserker. So Ashina's basically gonna get reused for a second time. So you always, every time you open Ashina, you're always gonna get a follow-up off of the same Ashina. So you always get to use them twice. That's how I mean some certain cards stretch miles, and you get that free Berserker basically, because this is gonna pay for itself again. So even though your hand size might not be proportionate to what it started with now, it's going to go back up and probably accumulate in kind of this cascading snowball effect depending on what your follow-ups and contingencies are. But yep, that's going to conclude the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And y'all be safe, yo. Peace.